Well, hello everybody. Here we are with yet another installment of the Holistic Health Happy Hour, and I've stopped counting. Who knows, 20 something, 28,
28? Yeah.
something like that. Anyway, I'm Julie Sherwood from Your Best Hopes Wellness Coaching. I do 13 sign constellational astrology, which is the focus of our conversation. But we also bring in some holistic practices to discuss about ways to manage the energies of these different things we talk about. I also do a root cause therapy method, Reiki master, mind, body, spirit wellness. So yourbesthopeswc.com. And I'm joined here by my lovely co-hostess.
Maria Schumacher, also known as Vian, of Venus-13.com is my website. I am a 13 sign astrologer, again, which is the focus of these, along with holistic wellness, but I take a more esoteric approach. I'm also a practicing witch of many years, so I bring that into what I do. I have a
Yay.
number of offerings on my website, along with just some explanations of things. I write a daily astrology blog that I post on a couple of places in Facebook. And by daily, I miss a day or two once in a while, but it's pretty much 7 days a week.
Yes.
I'm writing something, so that's my contribution to the astrology community. Find me on Radical Astrology Facebook page and uh
Cosmic reflections.
thank you, Cosmic Reflections. I was
This is
like
why we do it together.
constellational conversations. Yeah, we're doing stuff
We're
out
doing
there in the
stuff.
big wide world. So
And
yay.
and we also have a group called Constellational Conversations.
This is our
So
baby. We're so
This is
proud.
this is something we're enjoying thoroughly. We have two different cohorts that meet for 2 hours a month. One cohort meets for the full 2 hours on the second Sunday of the month at 11 a.m. U.S. Pacific or 2 p.m. U.S. Eastern for 2 hours. And then the other cohort meets twice a month for 1 hour each, the second and fourth Tuesdays from 4 to 5 p.m. U.S. Pacific or 7 to 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern. And it's $22 a month for 2 hours of constellational conversations where we do the learning format is in a constellational discussion oriented way. So you bring to the table what you want to learn rather than us saying, this is lesson 4 and we're going to talk about this today. You
Yep.
talk about what you want. We want to make
Yep.
it real for you so that you can learn at a level that makes sense to you. And every level is welcome. Everybody from what the heck is a sun all the way to I've been practicing tropical, but now I want to know how to do it from the real way. Yes, I did
Hmm.
just say that. So, anyway, and I'm going to do a shameless plug. My Daily Diva hostess here has a Patreon page, and you can help buy her a nice little cup of coffee or a little bottle of wine, whatever you want to do on her Patreon page. So just take a look at that. It would be awfully
Patreon,
nice.
I know I am the worst self-promoter. Maria's Daily Charts. It's on Patreon,
Yep.
patreon.com/ Maria's Daily Charts. You can support my work for $3 a month. And it really, really helps. And then you get my dailies to your inbox every day. And
Yes. Yes.
thank you, Julie.
Yes. We got to serve each other. Anyway, so let's talk about a third quarter or waning quarter moon. What do we got going on today, my
Way to
dear?
go. Okay, well, let me share the chart for that day. Now, again, in case anybody is finding us cold, like who are these weird people? We are
No, we're the
talking
normal
about,
ones.
it gets weirder, but that's okay.
That's what
We
she
are
said.
talking about um 13 sign, that is to say 13 constellations
Huh? There are
true
13.
to the sky. That is the size and position that they appear in the sky. We personally use 13 constellations and 12 houses.
Yep.
How come not 13 houses? Frankly, it hasn't called to us yet. I mean, I know that a lot of 13 sign astrologers also use 13 houses. Personally, I still like keeping it the 12 houses because it corresponds to the clock.
Hmm.
right? It corresponds to time. And it gives you some interesting dynamics when there are 13 versus 12, right?
Yes,
You
yes.
can really do some interesting things with that juxtaposition. So anyway,
Well, and let me throw in why I use 12 as well as what you said. And for me, the other part of it that resonates with me, and I use the metaphor of the different constellations are like a genre of a play. Each constellation has a flavor, a genre, if you will. And the celestial bodies are the archetype actors. How do they come into that stage? And then the houses are the area of your life in which the play is unfolding. And to me, all 12 areas have equal importance in one's life.
that's yeah.
That's how I look at it. So, as well as the clock, right? So that's why I'm still, the 12 just still resonates with me.
Yeah. Whereas there are, the constellations are different sizes for what are divine reasons, right? They're recognized as different sizes. So, that having been said, um, we broadcast twice a month on the quarter moons, on the
Yes.
waning quarter and the waxing quarter. This is the waning quarter, which means the moon has been full and now is on its way to becoming new.
Yes. Yes. So it's at a right angle to the sun. So
Yeah.
that's a quarter, if you will.
Yeah.
And the other thing for those of you who are new to
Dun,
true
dun, dun,
constellational, I mean,
dun.
13 sign constellational or true sidereal as it's also known, if you're still on the fence, okay, so be it. Right now, all the tropical astrologers are saying the sun is in Gemini. It's not in Gemini. So go get a little free app, Skyview, Stellarium, put it on your phone, go outside, and go take a look and see where the sun really is, because
Yeah.
the app will show you the sky. So if you really want to connect to the cosmological energy, you have to use the sky. You just have to.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's our soapbox, and we're sticking to it.
That's our soapbox.
Yes,
Damn it. So, okay, here we go.
there you go. So if you were standing in the middle of that circle and you were to look to one direction would be the moon, and then you take a right angle turn to the other direction would be the sun. That's called being in square.
Yep.
So a 90-degree angle to each other. That's the energy that they come into each other with.
Mhm.
So,
Yep. And squares are known in astrology as challenging energy,
yep.
or the energy of challenge.
Hmm.
But either way, most people find a moon square Sunday a challenging day because it's literally the sun, which is the outward, the part of you that shows, the part of you that shines in the world, the part of you that is seen, is challenging the moon, the inner part of you, the part of you that you keep to yourself. Yep. Your outer light is challenging your inner light. It's always sort of a little personal, all right, hey, how well are those two meeting up? Are you expressing your true self? Are you trying to hide something of your true self? There's that challenge. So a lot of people find these days challenging,
Hmm.
as they should.
Yeah. And the idea of a challenging aspect, some astrologers call them hard aspects, difficult aspects. I personally don't care for that languaging. I mean, to each his own, but I like the idea that it is a challenge because it's asking you to pay attention to. Well, no, I'm
Right.
not saying it's asking. It's telling you to pay attention to it. So you can't ignore it. If you try to ignore it, it's going to happen anyway. So
Indeed.
that's what makes it hard, if you will. It's nothing you can just turn your back on and say, okay, not talking today. No, it's going to get your attention one way or the other.
That's right. And there's generally some sort of tension, some sort of urge to action, some kind of, something involved that makes it more difficult to just sit there or keep your head in the sand or stay in bed with the covers over your head. Yeah. Whereas supportive can, trines, everybody loves trines. Oh, it's supportive energy, it's easy energy. It can also, promote laziness and inaction, right?
Complacency. Yep.
Complacency, yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep.
squares in general, they really want you to do something.
Yeah, and and the beauty in that is if you listen to that and look at the energies as it comes in, what is that inner self trying to hide from that the sun is trying to shine a little light on?
Yeah,
It might be an opportunity for you to do something that actually might be quite beneficial.
yeah,
So it doesn't have to be like rip a band-aid off painful. It could be like, oh, I finally have the challenge here to do what I need to do to use this energy in a way that I can move forward now.
yeah.
It's almost like a catalyst in some ways.
Very good word.
Yep.
Very good word.
Yep.
So, yeah, as if there hasn't been any challenging energy enough, around in the circle lately. Um, on this day, which is at the time of recording, we've still got a couple of days, but this might not be posted until the day of the challenge. So we'll see what we get.
Yeah, today's May 17th. It'll probably get posted the 18th, and the perfection of the quarter moon is the 20th. So just for
Yep.
point of reference.
Let us know where we are, guys. It's, yeah,
In case you're watching this 6 months from now.
right. Exactly. Um, so at the same time that this particular square is going on, running in the chart, like unto the elephant in the room, is also a big old grand cross involving grand cross, which is four squares and four oppositions,
Yeah.
right? So there's a lot of squares. And it's involving Jupiter, the South Node, the galactic center, and the North Node, and attenuating planets conjunct there too.
Yep. Yep. So it's some big energy there.
So we've got a square on top of a pretty massive square
Mm-hmm.
with the side of square, which is Mercury and Mars, who have been square to each other for a while too. Although that's, excuse me, although that's separating, so
Thank
it's a
God.
little bit less than, but still.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes. Yes.
why do we care? A a, a grand cross, which is four squares, right, is a square on steroids. There's no way around it. A grand cross, I think even oh, jeez, I'm so sorry, you guys.
Tis
Even a
spring.
separating grand cross, yeah. Grab your Kleenex just on my behalf.
Well, I feel it.
Carries carries an urge to motion.
Yep.
Yep. And whew, Julie, you go. Woo!
Spring is here, my friends, in the northern hemisphere. So when you get a square like a grand cross with the multitude of squares, so in essence, it's a square of a square, basically. You've got four times the energy coming in the door, not only with the square aspects talking to each other, but the oppositions. And the thing about oppositions is you have a dynamic tension between the two bodies that are opposing one another. It's like a rubber band or a tension rod that if you don't have equal balance on both sides of the rod or the elastic, if you will, it collapses. So you have to look at using those energies in balance with one another. Plus, they're also in a square aspect to each other. So it's a lot of catalyzing energy that you have to look at. Now, the question becomes with the different squares, what happens is what are the planets that are in that grand cross with each other, or the angles, aspects, whatever it is in square, which one has or which ones have the greater potential for impact. Usually, when you're talking the personal planets like Venus, Mars, Mercury, those tend to have more of an impact on us as individuals because of their closeness to us at Earth, and also the fact that they transit quite frequently around the whole zodiac, whereas like Pluto takes 248 years, so that's in essence a transpersonal or a generational planet, if you will. So the impact of it isn't quite as strong because it stays in its place for such a long period of time. So why is that important? So if you're looking at the square, the bodies or angles that are in square to each other, if they're personal planets, they're going to likely have a bit more impact on you as an individual. Whereas if they're transpersonal or things like the galactic center or the nodes, it's more likely going to be more of a collective impact. So it's important to take a look at what those actual squares are. So that's also important. And the thing with the square aspects is it's like a T-bone. If you like a T-bone car accident, you've got this energy coming in at an angle to another energy as opposed to being behind it. That would be more of a conjunction, or coming toward each other in a sense, or pulling apart from each other in an opposition. The energy is a lot different. So like the transiting moon coming in at a right angle to the sun, it's like that moon coming straight into the sun, because the moon transits a bit more rapidly, well, quite a bit more rapidly than the sun. The sun takes a whole year to go around the zodiac, whereas the moon is about 28 days. So that moon, it being that internal self, is coming into the sun. So the question is, how do you answer that moon energy as it's coming in an angle to the sun? Because again, the sun's going to be in Taurus for a while versus the moon being in the first 2 degrees of Aquarius. He's going to be through Aquarius in short order. She, he or she, however you want to look at it. So that's the energy of the moon, I think, is going to have a bit more knock on your door, if you will, than the sun, because it's the moon's movement that is much more rapid. So you look at that as well. And then the other thing to note, which once my dear co-hostess comes back, she will she's the queen of the yod, and can talk a bit about this yod to the south node. So we can talk about that too. So I was
Hi,
talking
everybody.
about squares, and how, especially when you have like a grand cross,
Yeah, yeah.
because there's so much catalyzing energy there, the thing to look at in my mind first is what are the celestial bodies, or the marking points, because of course the galactic center is not a celestial body, of these the grand cross. The ones that are the personal planets are going to tend to be more felt by the individual, rather than like the effect of the galactic center, or the effect of, say, Pluto, or something else that takes much longer to transit a chart.
Right.
I think is to be more of a collective energy. So when I see a grand cross like that, I'm going to look at what those planetary or marking points are, and look at what the effect is on me first, and then look at it as the collective as well. So that's where we're at. And then I was just starting to talk about the odd, but what say you about this grand cross, my dear?
Yes. Well, I think the main players here, right, for this Grand Cross are going to be Jupiter, of course, and uh, and probably Neptune, right? Because we've got Jupiter, well, and the North Node.
Yeah, I think definitely Jupiter and Neptune I would take over the galactic center and the nodes, primarily because they're moving, they're actual celestial bodies that are moving.
Right, Saturn as well. I mean, they're
Yes,
they're all right there.
right.
So, I mean, you've got this magnificent square between Jupiter and Saturn.
Yep.
And that's the big thing about this. But I mean, don't discount the nodes just because they aren't physical bodies.
Right.
Anything square the nodes like that is pretty badass.
Yeah.
That having been said, not everybody reads them, and even fewer read the galactic centers. So, I mean, if it weren't for, you lucky monkeys getting us as your readers, you wouldn't know that there was this grand cross here because
Right.
most astrologers don't read the galactic center. The square by itself between Jupiter and Saturn is a pretty big deal. And Jupiter T square the nodes of the moon is also still a pretty big deal. And so we could wax poetic about that and probably should. Because like Julie said, the first thing you'd look at are what are the more personal planets. Well, I mean, Saturn square Jupiter is a big deal.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
Because
Because those are the
they're,
interpersonal, actually.
yeah.
Yeah, because it's between the faster movers of the Mercury, Venus, Mars, and then the Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, which are the transpersonal. Jupiter and Saturn sit right between them. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like the boundary points between the me as the individual and the greater whole. It's that connecting point, right? And Jupiter's the expander and Saturn's the contractor.
And Saturn's the restrictor.
Right.
Yes, he wants to provide structure, but also restriction.
Yeah.
And Jupiter does not like being restricted.
No.
Thank you very much. It does not like it at all. I think
Right.
almost more than any other planet.
Well,
Jupiter,
and it's
yeah.
interesting because you could look at, where Jupiter is in Taurus. That's how Jupiter wants to expand. And Saturn wants to constrict or restrain or slow it all down from the perspective of Pisces.
Right.
So that creates a very interesting, because Saturn in Pisces isn't as rigid as it would be, say, in his own home stars of Capricorn, for example.
Yes.
Right? It's like, I want to restrain, I want to hold you. You know,
Well, it's
it's
it's it's
very
funny
ethereal.
what I see with Jupiter square Saturn when Jupiter's in Taurus, that's like growth, right?
Uh-huh.
Plant growth, things that are
Money
growing,
growth,
things that are, yes, coming in.
wealth.
And but square to Saturn in Pisces, I almost see that as mutation.
Good
Right?
point.
Because it's wanting to Saturn wants to provide structure, but in Pisces it can't.
Right.
There's nothing for it to give. It can change the form of something, but it can't really structurize. So it's almost as if stuff that you're trying to create right now, it's a mutation or an evolution point where the form of everything is just changing so rapidly. It's not going to come in.
It has to be very fluid. It
Yes.
really, it's like a bubble.
Yes.
It's there's structure to it, but it's amorphous in some ways.
It's not regular. It's
Right.
not the regular, it's not the normal, it's not, yeah.
Especially with the 2-degree conjunction with Neptune.
Exactly. That's why I said mutation,
Yeah,
frankly.
that makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it does.
So,
Absolutely.
so, and there's also been there's this huge amount of creative energy in the channel,
Yep.
in the chart lately, just tons of it.
Yeah.
Um, so there's so much stuff wanting to be created, and there have been so many formations that have been not quite right. Like we've not quite gotten pentacles so often, and we've not quite gotten all of these wonky, like the magic just isn't quite working. And so that's when people tell you that things are not as they seem.
Right. Right.
If you've heard that right now, that okay, just wait, a lot of intuitives, a lot of psychics, a lot of readers, things are not as they seem right now. Well, no, they're not
Right.
because because things are coming in without a solid structure. There's a lot of creation energy, and there's a lot of destruction energy. There's a lot of chaos. And so what it's almost Now is where we could look at the yod to the south node,
Let
right?
me add one more little layer to that thought, and that is it's no accident that Pluto's going retrograde again in the first few degrees of Capricorn.
Yes.
It's like, okay, y'all got to think about this. This is a 248-year moment. What do you really want to transform,
Mm.
transcend, transmute, to
Right?
recreate? And I think, you know, this mutation you've been talking about, the Saturn in Pisces, especially with Neptune there, Pluto's stepping back for a while, saying, okay, y'all gonna just deal with that for a little while, and then we can transform and rebuild.
Exactly. Like, okay, do you want to build this? 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 And we're all going like, maybe sort of this, but not this. And that's why, again, now we move to that yod on the south node
Hmm.
because it's all being brought up for us to see.
Yep.
We are facing everything about ourselves that we have created and experienced thus far,
Uh-huh.
right? It is all coming up, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the magnificent and the beautiful, if you also look for that,
Well,
right?
Jupiter and Taurus squaring that is a beautiful way to do that.
Yes,
Expand into the beauty of Taurus.
yes, yes. So, mankind has not just been all death, war, and destruction, you know, slavery and killing of each other. Mankind has also been some magnificently beautiful creations and has made some progress. But we also have not fully accepted that we still have the possibility in us to do terrible things. We still haven't accepted that that's us, right? It's that everything we do, it's us.
Huh?
We're, and I think there's our self know that no, just look at you guys. Look at what you have done.
Look at what you've come from.
Right.
And the
Look what
North
you've come
Node
from.
calling us to move into that compassion. We are all one, the unconditionality, the surrender to the divine.
Yeah.
We're not there yet because we still got a lot of work to do. Chiron,
We, we
Chiron.
st-
Yeah.
and I think the wound, one of the wounds is the fact that we we have done these things. We don't really get to hide behind God. We don't really get to hide behind a higher power. We don't really get to hide behind each other. We don't really get to hide behind an overlord. We don't really get to hide behind anything at the end of the day.
Right.
We either accept that the creative ability is right here inside of us and has been all along, or we continue to give it up and therefore continue to repeat these lessons.
Yeah. Yeah. Do we really want to keep repeating them? No. Not particularly.
Boy, sorry, everybody.
Not
That just,
particularly.
yeah,
Well,
that
and
just,
again, that
that got
Chiron,
heavier than I wanted it to, but
well, it's the reality of the energies, right? Or the energy potential, and we can't be all fluffy bunnies and rainbows. It's we have to see these squares and yods and the dissonant energy, if you will, because if we don't learn the lesson. We don't understand what's being held before us in order to harness that beautiful creative energy.
oh, so the yod, you would ask me to talk about that.
Yes.
Yod is also known as the finger of God. It is two quincunx, right? These two green lines are quincunx, connected by a sextile.
Mhm.
It's called the finger of God because it is the energy of the imperative. This is the universe getting your attention. Look where I'm pointing, right? Literally look where I'm pointing.
Yep.
And the reason why it's because quincunx in general are also imperative energy, but they're like screeching. It's
Oil
a
and water.
communicative
Yep.
where two bodies are trying to communicate with each other, but they're not hearing. Like if I'm just screaming at you, ah, la, 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 and I'm not listening, they're not able to communicate. Like they're speaking two different languages, or they're not tuned in.
It's the old
What?
analog radio dial that's not quite tuned to the station.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or on a phone when it's like, what'd you say? What? I can't
Can
hear
you hear
you,
me?
huh? Or they're just screaming. All they're doing is shouting at each other, and neither can hear. So there's a miscommunication, but it's still imperative. Like when it's just the quincunx, say Chiron and the South Node, both bodies would be shouting at each other, but not in a way that connects. It's extremely irritating. And it gets your attention
Oh
because
yeah.
it's irritating. When it comes together in two quincunxes and a sextile, however, now it's harmonic.
Right, because there's a balance point. Notice the triangle becomes a balance point.
Yep.
Yep.
Now it's harmonic. And there's they come together by the creative energy of a sextile. So that focus is clear. Like, look where I'm pointing. Um, because it's a south node, the ask obviously is to pay attention to where we've come from, what we're still hanging on to, what we call our comfort zone, what and also what is the best of us that we want to bring forward, what can we maybe leave behind, all that is associated with the south node of the moon.
Yeah. And the management of that dissonant energy is through the sextile.
Right,
It's through the
right.
sextile. So you look to the two bodies or multiple bodies in some cases of the sextile, and that's the language you need to answer the call of the where the yod is.
Yep,
Finger of God is pointing.
yep.
So
And in this case, it's Chiron-Eris and Lilith asteroid and the moon,
yes. So
who
there's
are
a lot of conversation going on
E-
there.
exactly. But it's like, okay, so we're taking our wound and we're taking the part of us that is wanting to become sovereign, the part of us that is self-regulating, sovereign being, and knows how to move forward with that. That's the asteroid, Lilith asteroid.
Uh-huh.
And for today only, the moon, which is our inner emotional body.
Yep.
And we're using a creative connection there to look at what from our past we still need to face, what we can use to build into our future,
Yep.
and what isn't working for us. And because we have that sort of mutated amorphous connection between, Jupiter and Saturn, the creative forces of expansion and form
Yep.
that that
Well, and I think it's also asking us, what are you willing to let go of that you've been holding on to? And that could also include, and I'm going to give, this is my perspective of my world, is limiting beliefs, personal
yeah,
limiting beliefs, so that you can harness that sovereignty of Lilith, especially because she just ingressed into Aquarius.
yep,
This is how we bring it forward for the greater good of all. You have to be sovereign within yourself to be out in the world in the way that's truly authentic so that everybody else can do the same. And that becomes the harmony. That is the magic in it. So stepping into that, I think, is important. Um, and the moon going into Aquarius, you can have a little bit of an emotional disconnect from it too, right? You can come at it from your personal self, but the moon in Aquarius is a little bit of emotional disconnect. It can kind of stand
Yeah,
above and take the lay of the land, if you will.
yeah, you can detach enough from your
Correct.
emotions that you can see everything without having to feel it.
Yes.
Because, sometimes I mean, we have to feel things, and our emotions need to inform the decisions we make, right?
Mhm.
But we don't have to live and embody everything that, enters our emotional body. We don't have to be in the emotions all the time. And
And
sometimes if you're too emotional, anybody knows when you're too emotional about something, you can't decide. It can be
you lose,
crippling.
yeah, you lose rationality. And that's a
Right.
perfect segue into what's Mr. Mars doing?
So,
Leaving the body need to be emotional of Cancer.
yep,
So it's now, instead of all that fiery emotion, erratic emotions, just, or even holding it all in, because that could be a pressure cooker point too. Now he's like, okay, I figured it out. I'm going to start moving into Leo. I can take a little bit of action in a passionate way, in a fun way, without
yep.
being so overly emotional about it.
Mhm.
And
I
that
I
moon
can
in
let it
Aquarius,
out.
yeah, and that moon in Aquarius helps with that. It's like, okay, I can sit up here and kind of take a look around, not be so invested in it in an emotional way.
Yep.
So I think
Yeah.
that's part of the magic too.
Yeah.
How,
So, yeah.
how would you pull the galactic center into that? Oh, my queen of the galactic center, especially for those who don't usually use the galactic center very much or understand it.
Oh, I know. I know. The the Galactic Center is it you could almost call it the Hall of Records. I mean, it's the point through which all of the data that ever was and ever will be is streaming in and out of our universe. It's the supermassive black hole at the center of our galaxy,
Yep.
the point around which everything spins, right? And so it's a data transfer point, the potential for everything that could be, the data of everything that was is coming through here in and out all the time. And so with Jupiter opposite, again, that's a magnificent time for creative expansion
Yep.
with all of that data at your disposal. And with the galactic center square the nodes like that, I've got everything to draw from. I have
Yes.
absolutely everything to draw from. And I also have everything to draw from moving forward into that north node,
Yes.
which really is what you need. And it gives me even more potentials for creation. So something that has hitherto seemed impossible because I just can't conceive of it, even in my imagination. Well, my imagination gate is harnessed
Yep.
here.
Yep.
So I actually can conceive of viscerally, like I can sit down and write a world in which, you know, peace exists, where butterflies have legs, or you know, flowers are 10 feet tall. It just whatever it is, I can tap that world of pure imagination, which is
And
kind of exactly what you need when your North Node is in Pisces. I'm unmoored from everything that prevents me from harnessing that pure imagination, and I'm tapped into the galactic center.
and Neptune helps with that too, hanging out in Pisces.
Sure does.
Creative imagination for sure.
Yes,
For
sure
sure.
does. Not so great for, things like um, being
Precision.
on a regular schedule and
Yeah.
getting up and going to work and,
Precision.
they,
Precision, data, rigidity, formulaic, routine stuff.
yeah, not so much. Um,
Ugh, not so much. No.
yeah. not so much. It's kind of like, yeah, okay, I know for me personally, it's been many weeks of, all right, um, I managed to get my body to work at this time,
Yep.
but my mind is absolutely everywhere, right? And and that's okay. And there have probably been a lot of people who were like that. It's like, okay, well, my body's here, my mind isn't. My, my mind
Well,
is,
and that brings yet another perfect segue. Oh, you've got this, you saw the script, right? um, is the segue into how do we manage these energies? The holistic approach, if you will. And I think one of the biggest things is to just accept that there are going to be times in the next several weeks that you will have that kind of, oh crap, today's Tuesday. I thought it was
yeah,
Monday. Uh-oh. And also be self-forgiving, but also be compassionate for those around you who may be going through the same thing too. Maybe be a
yes,
little more fluid with your routine and your schedule if you have the capacity to do that. Or
yeah,
where you have the capacity to do that. Not if,
very,
where.
very, very much.
Yep.
We're, we're still, there's still a lot of feeling unmoored from reality.
Mm-hmm.
There's still a lot of feeling like, when am I going to wake up? This something is not right. When am I going to wake up in reality? Well, the answer is not yet.
Yep.
I think that there is going to be a time when we feel like, okay, now now things are getting real. But if you can handle that feeling of unreality, there's just immense creative potential. It's just going to take a lot of trust. And this is encouraging us all to have a lot of faith. We
Yes.
Pisces, right? The spiritual nature of Pisces. It's enhancing our faith in ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
in the universe, in the process, because it's most of us, all you can do is just be where you are. We feel that things are changing. We feel that things aren't right. A lot of us, if we were to be outraged at every moment at everything that we're supposed to be outraged all the time that we see, I think we couldn't do it. We literally couldn't do it.
Right.
You have to detach yourself.
Yep.
You have to detach yourself from all of the noise.
Yes. The noise. And one way that you can do that I've been thinking about, two ways actually. One is, again, with Mars moving into Leo, get your body moving in a playful way.
Yeah,
Go play. Just if you were a 5-year-old kid again, how would you play?
yeah,
How would you play? Take that Mars body and move it through Leo and go play. If like, I've got a little dog, I can go run and play fetch with him and just get on the ground with him and just be silly.
yeah.
If you've got children in your life somewhere, or just imagine you as that child. Go jump rope or play hopscotch or go get some chalk and draw on the sidewalk, whatever.
My coworker and I today, we were both like, "Oh my God, am so tired. I don't know why we just feel so tired." And suddenly we're like, "All right, look, this is it. We're having dance minute. Come on."
Yep, exactly.
That's Do we just, just for a second or two, dancing around the store like a couple of crazy monkeys. But it got the blood flowing. It
Yes.
got us feeling better. It got us,
Yep. And I
ugh.
I think the other thing too is we're in that waning quarter moon, so the next new moon is going to be in Taurus, not
Yep.
Gemini. Sorry, I had to say that. Taurus. So start thinking about, as we're winding down this lunar cycle, start looking forward to how you can use that new moon in Taurus. Get those five senses going. Taurus is about the sensual pleasures.
Yep.
Anything you can see, taste, smell, touch, hear,
Right.
anything. So take that Martian body and go play in a five sense way.
Yes.
Any of the five senses, music, dig in the dirt, go cook in the kitchen, whatever it is that you love to
Uh-huh.
do. Finger paint. anything, anything.
Go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Be the
right.
silly kid with the olives on the fingers and create, fun little.
That's
I
it.
mean, it, it
That's it.
it's amazing how we forget how to play as adults
It is.
because we're so locked into our routines and our daily slog and adulting and all of that. And sometimes our play is actually quite adult too. Go
Yeah.
frickin' play,
Yeah.
you know?
So yeah, accepting that everything is still in flux
Yes.
and that there is flow, allowing yourself to be in a flowing and receiving state and tapping into energies that are playful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And connecting to the five senses, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
I think that's going to be
Exactly.
the magic over the next 10 days or so.
And I think that is it. And I think that is, how to survive this next sort of part of, yeah, this next week or so.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, if you want to come play in the sandbox with us, Constellational Conversations, we would love to have you. You can actually send a message to Maria at venus-13.com. She'll
Yep.
get you set up, and I can help with the back noise as far as links and calendars and reminders and all that. I'm a Virgo ascending, so I'll take care of the routine.
She's my godsend for administration.
We do
Yeah.
this together. So,
You will put the Vianne, Vianne at venus-13.com.
yep, it'll be in the description box below the video. So,
Unless you can
I'll
read my fingers, it's
put it's all good. It's all good. Um, Careful because some of these things will draw for you and unbeknownst. But oh, in fact, that was one thing we didn't talk about. You don't have to bring the chart back up again, but something I've been kind of harping on a little bit is the old Uncle Dave, aka Uranus in Taurus. And one of the energies behind all that, Uranus being in charge of um, technology and the cyber world and the communication in the cyber world and the interconnectivity of the cyber world, in the stars of personal value, Taurus, what do you value at a personal level? And what kind of resourcing would you look at a personal level in AI? It's very interesting how as soon as Uranus ingressed into your Taurus, we started to see an explosion of AI at a personal level.
yeah.
I mean, I'm not professing to say it hasn't been around at a much bigger level, corporate and tech world and all of that sort of stuff. But suddenly now it's like, how can I use AI to create a whole new marketing platform? How can I in fact, I saw some funny stuff. There's another one out there that does videos of you as a baby. I mean, it's hilarious. There's a way to play. It's hilarious as hell. But that's
Oh,
something
yeah,
fun you can do just to play, right? But
sure.
the point in it is, you can let it rule you, or you can choose to play with it at a
Yes.
level that you can start to decide how you want to value its potential.
Yes.
And you're in charge of it, not it in charge of you.
That's exactly right.
So,
We don't have to give into fear narratives,
right,
and we don't have to give into this is just the way of the future, so resistance is futile narratives either.
right,
We
right.
can use it just like the internet.
Yep,
Just like there were fear mongers about the internet too, and that in many ways has turned out to be a godsend for a lot of us.
right.
You know,
We
it's a
wouldn't be
it's
doing this.
allowed yes, it's allowed us to connect in
Yes,
ways we never would have before. It's allowed many of us, not myself yet, but hey, I'll get there, to earn a living
yeah,
in ways that we never would have, but that are more fulfilling than the traditional 9 to 5 jobs that we've had before. So it's just there have been a lot of good things
yep.
about the internet that you really can't deny if you're honest.
And Mercury is slated to move from Aries into Taurus around the 22nd. So
Yep.
start to watch when he conjoins Uncle Dave, aka Uranus. You're going to see the increase in people's desire to learn more about it, use it at a communication level, talk to each other about it. So I think in the next 2 to 3 weeks, it's a really good
Yeah,
opportunity.
they're going to start exploring what sort of value AI could bring to their lives.
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Yep.
And one of the things I heard about it that I think is because I was pretty resistant. Like I thought of, it's going to take away our ability to be creative and imaginative. It's just going to take that all over and all of that. So I will admit I was kind of resistant. But now that I've kind of played in the sandbox a little bit, the other thing that kind of convinced me, aside from the it can rule you or you can rule it, was if you use it to do some of the most mundane, routine things that you don't particularly like to do, like maybe some of the administrative stuff in your business or whatever, that frees you up to have interaction with people more frequently and more often to do that creative, imaginative work. So, you can think of it that way. Like I could look at it as a way to harness automating some of the stuff we do for constellational conversations so we can spend more time talking to you.
Right,
So that's a
right.
thought. So at any rate,
Very
there you have it. So go ye forth, all kind souls. And if you have questions for us, this will be on my YouTube channel. It'll also be posted on Radical Astrology and Cosmic Reflections. So
Yep.
wherever you happen to see it, just pop us a note or tag us. And if you want more information on constellational conversations or how to play in Maria's tip jar for her dailies, or just engage in either of us in services, we will have all sorts of info in the description box below the video. So thank you all. Yourbesthopeswc.com for me, and venus-13.com for my dear co-hostess. And we'll see you in cyberspace, my friends. Thank you.
Bye.